Now, I do have another question though. Has anyone here not been into a haunted building? Has not? Whoa. Well, I got strange news for you folks that raise your hands. You're standing in one right now. La Concha Hotel, built in 1926, is the most haunted building on the island of Key West. More strange things happen in this hotel than any other building in the city. And most of them occur up on... Anybody staying at La Concha tonight, by the way? Okay, most of them occur up on the 5th floor. The 5th floor is the most haunted floor. Now, a lot of people, when they hear about a ghost haunting Key West, they always assume it's the same ghost. The ghost of our most infamous resident. Anyone care to guess who that is? Ernest Hemingway, yeah. But they think it's Hemingway up there because there's an Ernest Hemingway suite up on the 5th floor, and people think like things wrapped up in nice, neat little packages. But it's not the ghost of Ernest Hemingway that haunts this hotel. We actually think we know who it is. There was a young man who died in this hotel when he was 19 years old. His name was Brent. Now, Brent was not an employee of La Concha, but his buddies were. New Year's Eve 1982, they had a big old party at the top of La Concha Hotel, and that's where they could see the fireworks go off out in the harbor that night. Now, the plan was Brent was going to meet his buddies about 2 o'clock in the morning when the party was over, and they were all going to go down to Lower Duval Street and party on, bringing in the new year, since his buddies had to work during the midnight hour. Well, Brent shows up a little bit early, about 1:45. His buddies aren't quite done working yet. Brent says, look, anything I can do to help you guys out so we can get out of here on time? They said, sure, brother. Go over there to the bar, and we're loaded up all those dirty glasses in those trays. Load those trays up on that rolling cart, and take that cart over to the freight elevator. Now, here's the key, and roll those down to the restaurant on the 1st floor. Well, Brent loads up the trays full of glasses onto the cart, pushes the cart over to the freight elevator, and when he gets there, he puts in the key and turns it. Now, while he's waiting for the elevator to arrive, a lady walks by, a guest of La Concha Hotel, starts to ask him a bunch of questions. He can't answer. He says, look, I'm sorry, I don't work here. I'm just helping out tonight. But if you'll take that guest elevator down to the lobby, I'm sure either the concierge or someone at the front desk can answer all your questions. Well, the point was, as she walked away, Brent was distracted by this woman. His elevator arrived, it went ding, he looked over his shoulder, the doors opened up, he grabbed the handle on the cart and backed up into the elevator. But unfortunately, the elevator car was not there. He fell 7 stories to his death with a loud crash of the cart full of glasses falling on top of him, and died instantly upon impact. That's the ghost that we think haunts the Concha Hotel.
Hard Rock Cafe. Who's on the Hard Rock? Is it Elvis? Is it Jimi Hendrix? How many guys want to guess this house has been here a little longer than the Hard Rock's been here? Hard Rock's been here and been very successful since 1996, but this house has been here since 1889, and it's lived a good number of lives with the folks that live here, or I should say folks that work here. They blame most of what's going on here on the first owner. I mentioned the Curry family. Some of you who've been walking around or might have been here a few days, you might have noticed there's a beautiful house about half a block that way on Caroline Street called the Curry Mansion Inn. It was the home of William Curry, Florida's first millionaire. He died in the late 1800s as the richest man in Florida. You can stay there, you can take a tour of the place. It's a beautiful house, but Curry's owned a few buildings out here. They own the Curry Mansion, they owned what is now Fogarty's and the Flying Monkey, a big house on the corner of Duval and Caroline. And William Curry had this house built in 1889 for his son Robert as a wedding gift. People give nice wedding presents in this town. Now, unfortunately, pretty soon after the house was built and Robert gets married, he loses his father. Now, I'm not trying to belittle that fact, but his father was the richest man in Florida, so he received a bit of an inheritance. He was not the only offspring, but when his father passed away, all the children received a bit of an inheritance, shared control in a very successful company, and here he is living in this new, beautiful house, just got married, pretty bright future, right? Well, one by one, he lost it all over the next few years. He lost his inheritance, he lost his part of control in that company, and unfortunately, as the story goes, then his wife left him. So in a very short time, he went from a very promising future to living in a house that had become a giant monument to every failure in his life. And in 1917, he couldn't take it anymore, and he took his own life in his own house, on the 2nd floor of his own house, where he was discovered hanged in his bathroom. Now, that being said, male restroom right there, and maybe, but maybe not. To be honest, female restrooms all the way on the other side of the floor, and no one knows for sure because the original plans have been lost. There's a third option. Across the hallway here, there's another little room where the Elvis and the Beatles memorabilia are kept. People call it the Beavis room, which I think is funny. But if you go in there, you'll see there's a door that doesn't seem to go anywhere. There's no purpose for it. There's no sign, and you might not even notice it. A lot of times there's a table of chairs pushed up against it. If you do open it, the room's only about this deep, and then you'll see there's another door on the other wall. I ask you not to cross over and try to go in there. It's just a storage room, but there are folks that work here, and in hearing their stories, I'm one of the folks as well that believe that perhaps that is where the bathroom was, and that is where Robert Curry was discovered. And that's not to say the things that happen here only happen right there. They happen all over the second floor.
Bartenders know this story, down to the point that when you ask for it, they're going to give you a funny look. Then they're going to try to hand it to you without spilling it, because a lot of times they're the ones that spill it. But if you've been on the ghost tour and you're smart and you paid really good attention tonight, and you walk all the way to the edge of that building, holding onto it tight as you can, a strange wind might come and yank it out of your hand, followed by a loud screaming sound. And some of you look like you're going to try this anyway. Don't say I didn't warn you. It's a lot of fun, but if you want to have a little bit more fun and avoid the ghost, just stick with domestic imported. You know, it works every time. Now, if you go up there, you also might run into a gentleman known as Fred Butner. You guys may notice we started in front of a law office. That's not a coincidence. See, Fred Butner in 1990 was a well-loved lawyer in town. It was a small town, as you know, and everybody knew him and loved him, but then one day he decided to stretch his funding just a little bit further and do a little bit of fraudulent business. Well, the FBI found out about this, they were on the case, and they were knocking on the door of his secretary to get more information. Now, Susan thought she was doing nothing more than her job by providing the information, but Fred saw it as betrayal. So at this point, he invited her up to the top, but with a plan. See, he was going to end his life because he figured his practice was over, as well as his well-being, since he was going to go to jail. But he also wanted to take her down with him. So he spent all night putting her name on documents, put $5,000 in one pocket of his vest up here, and a tape recorder in the other. You get where this is going. Once he gets to the top, he asks her if she wants a drink. Now at this point, she looks over and I'm thinking, the last thing I want is a drink. I want to know if my boss is okay. Well, of course she doesn't want a drink, so then he's trying to get the words out of her. He leans forward, looks at her, and says, hey, I've got the money. Now when most people say that, what would you say? I'll take it. But I'll tell you what, she was a little suspicious due to the fact that, well, first of all, he was leaning forward at the same time, and second, well, why would she bring him all the way up here just to tell her that? So she looks at him and shakes her head, and at this point he says, no, I have the money, which you asked for. It's not working. So he goes to plan B. He steps up on a large table right next to the edge and says, no, don't push me, and then jumps off the building, landing shortly thereafter on Duval Street. Very last thing you hear in the tape recorder is, which is him hitting the ground. That proved he was dead. However, the tape recording was deemed false. The $5,000 bribe money went back into the local economy as a blessing when it spilled all over the streets. And well, the paperwork was deemed false. Why? Sounds like a pretty good plan, doesn't it? Well, if you're ever planning on committing an act like this, and please say you're not, don't go to the only bar in town that the 8 FBI agents prosecuting you are drinking and eating at. As you can guess, that will put a damper on your day. Well, I like this story for